Now, for more on all this, Florida Congressman Mike Haridopolos. Good morning, Congressman. So, reconciliation faced some snags in the Senate, the parliamentarian rejecting security for the president's ballroom, as well as divisions over that weaponization fund. Where are we right now with getting ICE and CBP fully funded through the end of the president's term?
Well, first of all, we absolutely need to fund border security and ICE. As you're seeing right now in New Jersey, there are violent offenders around, and we need to make sure they are locked up. And there's still many on the street in sanctuary cities. That's why we in the House have passed now 5 times the bill. We're waiting on the Senate to play their typical game where you need 60 votes in order to send it back to us. In this case, we're using reconciliation, so we're going to hopefully get a majority of Republicans to finally send over Border Patrol and also ICE funding, because it's fundamental. It's why you have a government in the first place. Let's hope the Senate can get their act together this week.
So in the meantime, as you mentioned, those federal agents being met with violent protests at that Newark detention center, and Democrats are making this their new focus. Take a look at this from Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Delaney Hall should be shut down, and every single individual, particularly those at a high level connected to this facility, they're engaging in a depraved indifference to human life. And every single member of this Trump administration is going to be held accountable.
Oh my, what's your reaction to all of this that we're seeing, especially at ground zero, essentially, this Newark detention facility?
Well, the depraved individuals are the persons in there. They're murderers, rapists, drug dealers, child molesters. They should be behind bars. And only because of sanctuary cities we have to have facilities like this. If the locals would just do their job, we'd be fine. And as you're seeing from these images right here, these are professional protesters hired by groups like Soros to get them out there. You see how well organized they are. This is not some ad hoc situation. This is professional protesters. Even the New Jersey governor said 5 of the 6 people recently arrested were from outside the state. These people just want to create mayhem. They want another Minnesota type incident. All we want to do is keep these child molesters, murderers, and rapists behind bars where they belong.
So, Congressman, I do want to turn now to the start of the hurricane season in the Atlantic. Now, your fellow Congressman from Florida, Byron Donalds, along with Democrat Congressman Jared Moskowitz, have co-authored legislation to remove FEMA from the Department of Homeland Security, especially in the wake of the longest government shutdown in history. They also think it's getting mired in bureaucracy, want it to report directly to the president. So, as the people of Florida get ready for hurricane season, what do you think of this idea?
Well, the good news is that Florida knows how to handle hurricanes. Unfortunately, we have a lot of practice, but we're very good at it. And so we want to take away some of that bureaucratic red tape. This is an example of Republicans and Democrats actually coming together in a common sense way, giving more flexibility to states like Florida to solve problems. Remember, the contrast is very clear. Remember that crisis in Louisiana? They could not handle a hurricane. We in Florida were prepared. We know how to do things. We want to have the flexibility necessary to handle should a crisis hit.
Before we go, I do want to ask you about Blue Origin. I know you're on the Committee of Science, Space, and Technology. Of course, Cape Canaveral there is in your district in Florida. Jeff Bezos' rocket exploded on the launch pad during a test at Cape Canaveral just last week. The wreckage still being assessed here. Is this something, though, to be concerned about?
Well, Charlotte, we're all concerned. As you mentioned, I not only live in that community, I chair the Space Subcommittee, and it's vitally important we win the space race. We are concerned because Blue Origin is a key part of getting us back on the moon. They're going to have one of the 2 landers, the other being SpaceX. Over the weekend, Jared Isaacman, our new NASA administrator, did a great job getting on the ground, assessing the damage so we can adjust. The good news, we have the funding necessary to make these adjustments. And the other great news, of course, is NASA is moving full throttle with Jared Isaacman. As you know, we had an incredibly successful launch with Artemis 2. And despite the blow up, no one was injured, of course, killed in this explosion. But we're doing everything we can to make sure it never happens again.
And do you think this explosion, Congressman, is going to delay the plan of getting an American on the moon before the president's term is up?
Well, I think we're still full speed ahead. But again, the good news is that we have other pads there at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. We think we'll work out just fine. But that said, we need to really redouble our efforts. That's why Jared Isaacman and I have been in constant communication to get the job done.
All right. Congressman Mike Haridopolos, great to have you with us this morning. Thank you.